Hey, this is Max Alper, aka Peretsky, and you are listening to Group Critique Fight Club. Yeah. You've been listening to some beautiful loop works from Miguel Angel Tolosa. The record called Nostalgia, circa 1987. Don't know too much about it, to be perfectly frank with you. Was just sort of what's the word recommended it via Line Imprint. Cool label, doing some very interesting stuff, mostly in the vein of sound art and field recordings and tape music as well. So yeah, just pick that record up. Miguel Angel Tolosa, Nostalgia, circa 1987. Okie dokie. Welcome back. It is Monday. Group Critique Fight Club with your boy. We are at it again. It is July. So want to not making an official announcement as of yet, but the Group Critique Fight Club model is expanding a bit, let's say. Combining efforts of myself and some fellow educators and like-minded folks, we are creating something a bit more in the vein of a online and sometimes in-person school. And so a part of that, we are going to be creating a bit more weekly, if not, monthly sort of programming. Group Critique Fight Club on Sundays ain't going anywhere. That is staying at put. And for those that are on the Patreon already, you already are in all that fun stuff, but we and the monthly projects are also staying, no doubt about that, with the guest artists, bringing that in, but we are going to be including some other educators, some other artists to be co-hosting. This is coming from the streaming sort of side of things, such as what we do here, but more in the vein of a book club, listening club, things of that nature, other programming beyond Group Critique. We're going to bring back the original critical listening format as well, where we listen to pre-existing music and discuss it, more of a music appreciation and analysis sort of side of things. Not exactly certain if it's going to be on YouTube. I believe it will more than likely be a continuation of our Zoom school, such as what we do on Sundays on the standard Group Critique Fight Club. So more on that later, but in August, our Monday night editions, what we are doing now, is going to be taking a brief pause as we begin to shuffle some new things around. But if that's disappointing to you, just keep on coming to Sunday editions, and the Monday monthly projects will still be presented on Mondays. So either publicly over YouTube or in a more just a regular Zoom school edition. We will figure that out. That will still be once a month on Monday evenings. But our standard weekly, what we're doing now, our standard weekly Monday evening YouTube editions will be pausing. So the reign of critical listening, my reign of terror resumes. Exactly, the return of, yes. Yeah, I mean, critical listening is, I already recycled the name for my podcast with Liz Pelly, so we're not going to be calling it critical listening on that. This might be we got to think of something for that. But it's not going to be just me involved in that. We're making a school. There's going to be group courses on the way, similar to the things that I have offered in the past, both online and in person, such as the Concrete course that happened in April and May, the field recording field trip, and going to be offering... Oops, shit. Fucking ant crawling on me. It's the season. We are going to get other folks involved. It's not just going to be me. For 4 to 6 week courses. I'm telling it to y'all. I'm telling it to y'all first before we officially announce anything. More on that later, but specifically for the Monday night weeklies, those will be taking a break in August. Monthly project still sticking around. Group critique fight clubs on Sundays still sticking around. More things, more interesting things coming our way very shortly for the fall semester, let's say. So exciting stuff in the works. Excited to share more with you as it happens. Once again, for the month of July, our homies at Tape Trade supporting our Monday night streams, getting our monthly project co-presenters paid. Always offer people stipends for this shit. Some people don't want it. Some people turn it down in the past because they're just love of the game. Other people happy to fucking support that shit. Always offer that. Shout outs to Tape Trade once again for all your private listening link, your private streaming links, your private EPK links. We were talking about that last week. We were talking about that both last week and yesterday in the Sunday edition, talking about refining our EPKs. Everybody get up on that, and that might very well be a course in the near future for those that want to take it on themselves as writers. No ChatGPT bullshit in here. Getting articulate about ourselves. But with an EPK, you need a private streaming link. We got our good friends at Tape Trade providing us zero data mining, lossless quality in browser and on app. Always link in the show notes. Jesus, sound mid-Atlantic there. In the show notes for 2 weeks free. As always, shout outs to the homies at Tape Trade. Hope everybody is doing well. I wanted to start us off, actually, because I just got this email. I received the recording, the mixed and mastered recordings of my set in the Poughkeepsie Cistern. For those that don't know, I helped organize a sort of all-day music marathon. It's not even more than a festival. It was a marathon of single short performances in the Cistern at College Hill Park in Poughkeepsie here in Hudson Valley. Biggest cistern of its kind on the East Coast. Basically 90% drained, but there's still water dripping and puddles and pools of it everywhere. Over 15 seconds of natural reverb time and some very interesting harmonic resonances in the low end in this space. So I wanted to I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's about 12 minutes, but I wanted to play the first 5 minutes because I think the recording came out pretty well. Shout outs to Nando, the recording engineer. Great work on the mix down. So yeah, this is me singing and playing harmonium, and then my good friend Ethan Bourdeau on French horn. So let's check it out. All right, all right, all right. I gotta do something with this. I definitely gotta do something with this. I'm not sure what. We only had like 11 minutes of performance each, so just a little taste of it. But yeah, I'm happy with the way it turned out. Got to figure out the best way to put that out. Get Lil B on it, absolutely. I could do a split tape, not a bad idea. I just got to get back down there. I'm homies with the folks who got the keys, so it's they're planning. They need a lot of money in order to keep it open as like an open to the public thing. The show that we did down there was like a 1 day permit, and it was very tightly limited. That's why we had like a marathon of performances rather than, one big group of people coming in all at once. We had to do like 40 people at a time tops, because of the not up to code. So yeah, it's like used to be filled to the brim with water. Now there's about a foot of water left in this 350 meter by 150 meter long space. It's incredible, and I'm gonna continue to be involved with these folks because I live very close by. But sounds pretty goddamn good, if you ask me. So yeah, wanted to start us off with that for funsies. Definitely want to turn that into a impulse response though, to get some IR reverb plugins going with that. Yeah, so more in the Cistern in the future. Hopefully this year we'll be able to do something else. It's definitely cinematic. I want to, there was like kind of a normie crowd of a lot of wide range of age range of people, but including some elderly folks. So wasn't going to try to do the most scary free improv stuff down there. Plus, it's not the type of space for long tones can come in all shapes and sizes, and consonances and dissonances and pitches and noises. But we were going totally acoustic, no amplification. So towards the end, I get a little freakier with the voice, but you didn't get to hear it. Didn't get to hear it this time. But you will. And you can go and listen to it in full. I have the link for this playlist in the show notes posted. Once it's fully recorded, you can go and listen to the whole thing if you want. Okay, we got up next, new track from Breathplay. They write to us, everything here except the FX buses is run through Ableton's Corpus Resonator, which gives the sound physicality and unifies it tonally. In turn, this lets me create weird tonal effects by sending deliberately mistuned drums into it. This is a brand new sketch, and the structure is just a placeholder. For now, I'm trying to get the flavors right before I figure out the plating. Forgive me for tormenting that analogy even more. Right now, it's as if one of the ingredients I had in the fridge stank on it, but I can't place which one is the culprit. It's supposed to have a disorienting dream logic to it, but right now it's not pulling my ears in enough to effectively push them away again. Alright, well, let's see what the stanky ingredient is. Limited Atonement version 1. Lovely, lovely stuff. Very, very nice. Hold on. Oh, yeah, there my chat goes. Really great stuff. You know, I don't know if it was a perfectly symmetrical switch up in the middle between the 2 and 2 minutes of this around roughly 4-minute track. But it felt like a really lovely and patient, because of its minimalism, sort of arrangement. It felt much longer than 4 minutes in a good way, in an entrancing way, you know. Very much a fan of this sparseness and like simple sound design, assuming some Foley as well as synthesized sounds going on here. The wood block, even the shaker, hi-hatty shaker thing, you know. It's a 64. Okay, cool. It's 64 bars, 16 bar break, and 32 bars. Cool. So not fully symmetrical. But yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't hear an ingredient that's funking this up necessarily. Personally, I think there could be like a bit more sort of. I mean, whether you're using dub effects or not, but like some sort of hands-on sort of effects processing to specifically like the higher end frequencies of this. It's very mid heavy right now. It's not muddy, but you have this like, which is, I mean, it does have high frequencies to it, but there's this kind of metallic sort of rattling thing that's occurring in there, as well as the wood block, you know. It's not that it's like overpowering in the midsection. Maybe like Exciter would be something on the mix that we could like do to just brighten up these sounds, period, in a way that's not like detracting from the mid-range of the EQ, but rather is like finding and distorting harmonic content in that wood block, you know, that gives it like a richer timbre. You know what I mean? Like it has a very mid-centric sort of flat donk sort of sound to it, which is charming, the way that it's let's like arranged in this stuttering, stumbling sort of grid of patterns that you've created here. But the I think that just like the breadth of frequency that could come out of each of these sounds specifically, and I'm just gonna find the sound that I'm thinking of here, this metallic one. Hold on. The metallic thing that I'm trying to find. Hold on. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, like that sort of like stuttering, pitched down hi-hat sort of sample or whatever that is. All of these sounds can be like heightened with saturation, and specifically in this case Exciter, because Exciter just saturates the harmonic content and distorts them in a way that like really heightens them, and it sounds great on drums. And some of these sounds here can just be like livened up a bit, and it will just also just spread out the frequency content even more, you know, openly. You can also think about stereo splitting some of these sounds where they just like widen them a bit, you know, like that hi-hat, for example, that because it's not happening that often. It'd be really nice to use some sort of spreader, not like a panning device, but like a stereo spreader that actually like puts some of the mids over here and some of the highs over here, widens out the frequencies, you know. Like I just think that like these things should just be more present and alive across the board, you know. Anybody interested in a spreader plugin? My favorite is Haze by Clevgrand. That's Haaze. Pretty affordable, really intuitive user interface, and like can turn like a mono signal into like the most like like a completely different sound via stereo imaging in creative ways, and slight delays in stereo. Combines like a few millisecond delay in stereo with a sort of a stereo splitter, stereo imaging sort of effect. Highly recommend for that, and works really well with drums, just like Exciter. My only thoughts on that really is more related to these nitty gritty sort of mix ideas. Yes, the Ableton utility stereo tool that works well. That's a simple one knob, stereo delay. Can be very effective for fattening, widening out these things. Drums deserve that width. You know what I mean? We gotta like try to emulate that multi-microphone sort of approach that one would actually be doing on a live kit. You know what I mean? We could treat our electronic drums the same way and give them not just like exclusivity in a single channel somewhere on the left and right, but actually creating distinction in a mono signal between left and right, turning mono into like some creative creative stereo image. I love stereo. I love quad too. If anybody's going to be in Hudson Valley on July 24th, I believe, or is it 25th? Saturday, the 25th, I believe. That entire weekend, what is that? 24th, 25th, and 26th in Cairo, New York, just outside of Hudson and Catskill, is Buddy Fest. My friend Matt Luchak puts this on. It's like a 3-day harsh noise fest. I'm going to be doing that on Saturday. I'm going to be playing afternoon, like 4 at that. But trying to get something in quad for that, acousmatic, just a piece of tape music in quad for that, I think would be fucking sick. Speaking of stereo imaging, get this wider, get this excited, use the air windows like you said. I think you'll be onto something here, and you will be. I think you'll have solved your problem. It's not about the stank. It's, I think, about just like centralized. Right now, it just feels very centralized in both stereo image and frequency. Let's express them both. Let's stretch them out. Good stuff. All right, who we got? Karim. Another wet music tool track. Extremely simple core groove. Focusing instead on production. Trying to make layers of my own samples fit together in a way that feels blurry and organic. Somewhere in between peak oil style abstraction and cybernetic ocean waves. Would love to know if it feels like something you could zone out to, if it had a less direct groove. Other notes, all original samples except the kick, and 2 single stereo octatrack performance mixed lightly in Logic Pro. Nice. Love us that single take. Doc Call. Wet Music by Karim. Let's go. Yeah. Very, very nice. I'm loving this description here. Peak oil style abstraction and cybernetic ocean waves, somewhere between that. Yeah, I mean, to your question of like, can we zone out to this without the drums, without the beat, without the groove per se? I mean, absolutely. You know, there's obviously tempo inherent with this, with or without the drums, and in fact, like, I'm finding myself nodding and you know, hearing my own rhythm through the loops on their own oftentimes, like before the drums came in. You know, there is rhythmic value and even groove, like you say, without there having to be the sort of low end to this, you know. So it's not even that I'm zoning out. I'm still grooving out without those drums, you know. I think that's what makes a lot of loop-based sort of tape music, because without the drums, you know, it's very loop-based and there's textures and the sort of crackling going on in the piano loop, obviously. But there's still this inherent, not necessarily like by the book, but still like inherent rhythm to it, that allows you, it's like real trance music, you know, not trance techno, but like this sort of repetition. I mean, it's how often I mean, I listen to a lot of Basinski this way, where like there's still like pattern, there's still repetition, there's still rhythm, and there could still be groove without there necessarily being anything bombastic, you know, and making it entirely wet and ambient, you know. So to me, I might be too biased here because I'm into this type of repetition and entrancing sort of nature to fall down a rabbit hole. I mean, like, this is the type of thing that, like, it's kind of like what we were just listening to in the lobby with Miguel Angel Tolosa. You know what I mean? There is it's not funk per se, but there is groove in repetition. It's just whether or not, like, you could really hear it through the various processes. But I mean, I don't think. I mean, because of how sparse this is, I'm not in any way like distracted by the piano. Is still the main thing, you know, and it works really well. Trying to think of other like ways this could be expanded. I mean, I think that like this is, if you've listened to Melancholia by Basinski specifically, it's like 16 or so miniatures that are all like about this length, and they just kind of feel like one and done etudes, you know, and it's almost like a mixtape in some ways. It'd be kind of cool if you could think about your project in this way, you know, like with something like this, creating zones that fall into this sort of formula of a repetition but also like groove-based repetition that might not have like literal drums involved, but there's still this like, you know, there's a lot you could get out of the well curated loop based work, you know. What's going on in the chat here? I think when you add your drums under, maybe you could herd a larger group of listeners to catch the same groove together, but even without, there's always a groove when you loop. Breathplay says, like a lot of top-down dialectic is a lot more on the grid than it sounds. It's just that the thing that's against the tempo is placed in the exact mixing zone where it's maximally obfuscates. This is in relation to an earlier thing. You're right. I actually think I could zone out to it more if the groove was more direct, i.e. the layers of samples slotted into it. I think actually just one element playing outside of the rhythm and then the rest all locked in would do it. If you listen closely, this is often the case with peak oil stuff. So the idea of having the majority of this quantized one way or the other, and then only one element out of that grid. Yeah, I mean, top-down dialectic is a good example of that. Karim says, I think I'm over-engineering for specificity. Need to let samples play out and do their thing more. Yeah, but I'm also forgetting that this is a live performance, too. You know? It's like if I was doing this live, I would just, like, let it rock. I wouldn't let this be a miniature in the way that I was just talking about as a recording project, but as a performance project. Like, this is the type of thing that, like, once every few minutes, adding or subtracting or changing something, but like this is a patience music, you know, worthwhile taking time with it. I mean, and I know with some of your other stuff, this being a tool track, meaning there's going to be something else on top of it, perhaps. If you're gonna put in something here, I would love to hear what your guitar would do on like a volume swell, volume pedal only sort of melodic phrasing, or at least like counter harmonic of some sort. Yeah, be curious how you could add to this if this was meant to be played with something else. I'm a fan of wet music, though. I'm a fan of this as standalone sort of furniture music, meant for a space, meant for a fountain, you know? Karim, you need to sing on this. Put on the indie rock whisper. Agree, Max. Same Stars of the Lid type notes as the other tracks. Yes, exactly. Give us some Stars of the Lid tone. Give us the swells. Let's go. Some other instrument on this. Good shit. Alright, look like we got two more today. Kuku is back. Okay, I have a sick beat I made during 30 minutes now and 1 hour at my job using 2010s electro house samples and vintage synths. Enjoy. Sick beat. Let's hear it. Fuck yeah. Beautiful. But I agree with Breathplay. This is footwork. You know, this is pretty much you're pretty much just in the avant left field territory of this. And I'm not just meaning like the OGs like RP Boo. I'm thinking about some of the more earlier experiment, maybe, you know, not earlier, but like early 2010s Tech Life adjacent folks. DJ PayPal. Y'all remember DJ PayPal? Really weird side of footwork exists out there. This is what's bringing me to that. And so, yeah, with the footwork, two things. First of all, it was already mentioned, but some sort of vocal hook. You know what I mean? In a chopped up classic way, like saying the phrase da ba sa sa fa ta fa ta fa 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 fa. You know what I mean? Like easy easy sample drops, turning that into its own drums. You know what I mean? Chop it up as far as you want with that. Turn it into a drum solo. You know what I mean? You can get fucking wild with it. Do it in Polish, bro. Make it about fucking what you're eating for lunch. You know what I mean? That's what like the nice thing about footwork. I mean, it's more juke. I mean, footwork too, but like juke specifically is that like the hooks. And if you want to get Trina on it, if you want to get some melody on it, that will absolutely solidify it more as juke. You know, the distinction of juke being that it's for the girls, like it's for the normie heads, for partying. You know what I mean? But footwork specifically, it gets more left field, and it's for battle specifically. You're going to scare folks more likely with footwork than you would with juke. So either way, some sort of vocal chopping sample going on there would be lovely. And then, you know, where's the clap? Where's the you know what I mean? Like a couple more layers of production, drum development would be really nice. I know that we have that sort of B section here where you start getting a little more choppy with it and more, you know, syncopated with the hi-hats and snares going on there. But just like the occasional double time simple stuff is very effective here, you know, and it's just an easy way to just up the ante of your rhythmic phrase. You know, we're hearing it mostly in the low end, mostly on those kicks. They are incredibly volatile kicks in a good way, you know. It's what the clap has to be stuttering at like 128ths as well. For sure. 808 rim, you know, I mean, going classic sort of RP Boo style. He does like basically like he like kind of like switches it up like, you know, like goes through an array as if it's like an entire auxiliary section of percussion. Really treating it like a drummer in that way. I'm a huge fan of RP Boo, who's really like the pioneer, the originator of footwork beyond just juke, you know? Yeah. Really cool stuff. Love that you made this on the fly, you know? Really good beginnings here, good sketches. Let's develop this further, you know? There's footwork in Poland. Yeah, like you went to a party for this shit, you know? Proper footwork, drum patterns are so hard. I mean, yeah, but that's like, less is more. Like, this is the type of genre where it's just like, when it goes hard, it doesn't require too much at once. You know, it's about that syncopation. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Let me see here. We got one more today. Got something from Laughable. Who's Laughable? Laughable's new. Welcome. Let's hear what you got. This track's called 2. I don't know if you're here or not, but let's hear it and we can discuss it. Yo. Fantastic stuff coming in here from Laughable. Welcome. Starting off with a bang. Oh man. Looks like Kuku beat me to the punch. Yeah, we are so Lynchian right now, but also in a way that is toying with both an acoustic or like a string based instrument. You're playing steel, lap steel, I believe you said, slide guitar in this. But the tone is so bright and digital that it blends quite well with the MIDI instruments that are so rudimentary and, raw sounding, as if like this was like a preset sort of drum machine on an early 90s synthesizer. You know what I mean? This is truly sort of placing me in this production world of like early 90s Badalamenti sort of sound here, just like the way that this is produced. But the sleuthing, the sneakiness to the groove, and then the obvious just bending and warbliness of the guitar consistently throughout, it gives a surrealism here that, once again, Lynchian, no doubt, but more so than that, it feels like one of those CD-ROM games that had basically like point and click, but then playback of live action sort of filmed footage. You know what I mean? It's basically like an interactive soap opera or film noir sort of interactive game in this way, but it also just has this like very charming sort of 90s nostalgia to it. Yeah, CD-ROM game. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a CD-ROM game. I don't know if you're consciously thinking about this when it comes to like the brightness of your guitar tone, the sort of synthesizedness in a way, synthesized brightness, synthesized sort of digitalness of your guitar tone, sort of blending in with these very rudimentary digital rhythm section sort of parts. It's really I don't know if this is something you're conscious of or if this is just a draft in this way, but I would lay into this CD-ROM surrealism that you have going on here, because it's believable in that way, like it has this quality to it that it's not vaporwave, but it's certainly hauntological. I'll say that. It's bringing a sort of memory inspired by media of that time, but it is most certainly rooted compositionally in a contemporary lens, just by how it's been produced. Rejected Scholastic Library music. Yo, fantastic. That is a fantastic oh man, I'm trying to think of some of these games that I used to play in elementary school. If you want to go in that direction, definitely Bit Crush the Drums, Breathplay's feedback on that. And then even earlier, the drums I think are the thing to take a look at, either real ones or faker ones. Maybe like a Lindrum, you know what I mean? That like very digital but still sample sort of based drum machine. Has a very, very overly digital, rudimentary sound to it. Interesting. I want to hear this entire library of sounds that you've created for our hypothetical CD-ROM game here. This is a fantastic sounding project. The edutainment games often had very low-res library drum samples, yes. The drums are definitely the weak point, still a rough draft. Yeah, I mean, if this is a rough draft, lay into the hauntological nostalgia of this, specifically this speculative CD-ROM score that we're talking about here. Create Twin Peaks, the CD-ROM game. Create a 90s Lynchian CD-ROM game score. Speculate what that would sound like. I think would be a really cool direction to go in for this track. But even more so, hone in the production of this. Everything could sound more digital. Everything could be that much more highly produced for 1992 standards. You know what I mean? Really enjoy this introduction to your work. Laughable tunes. Good stuff. Very much want to hear more. Okay. Looking like that's it for today, y'all. Remember, 2 weeks from today, Joseph Allred here for our monthly project presentations. That'll be July 20th, 7 p.m. Get to it on those field performances. Gonna be a really fun one, chatting with Joseph. Good stuff from everybody. Really lovely stuff. Hope y'all have a wonderful week. And I will see you on Sunday back on the Patreon stream, if not a week from today, next Monday. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful night. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to another edition of Group Critique Fight Club with me, Max Alper, aka Peretsky. You can sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/Peretsky to get access to our Sunday Zoom school on top of the regular live public stream. Public stream takes place every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. All are welcome. And you are listening to the track Atop Alp Dog Mountain, Ja Plays Pokemon Go by me.